This podcast does not provide medical advice. Please listen to the complete disclosure at the end of the recording.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyone Dies, the podcast. I'm Marianne Matzo.
And I'm, hang on, it's on my t-shirt here, Fruit of the Loom.
Hey, you fruity guy, you. So put on your flannel sweats, your fuzzy socks, grab an eggnog, and relax. And thank you for spending the next hour with us as Charlie tells us how to make eggnog. In the second half, I'm going to talk...
Eggnog and whiskey. It's going to be a short broadcast. Okay, go ahead.
It's just whiskey. In the second half, I'm going to be talking about grieving and dying through the holidays. And on third half, we're going to have craft time.
Ooh. I really need to start attending these meetings.
Charlie didn't read his script, but I'm not tattling.
No, that's good.
Hey, Charlie.
Yes.
In this merriest of seasons, we're seeing eggnog in the stores. What the heck is that stuff? It just doesn't sound...
Well, but personally, what worked for me, if you get a carton of it, and it has to be a container of thick eggnog. And you have yourself, your choice, but a brown liquor, brown water, if you will. My personal choice is whiskey, but people also use bourbon or brandy. Mix it with thick eggnog. Really? It's not just for Christmas anymore.
I've had eggnog ice cream. Now that's really quite yummy.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. So,
just diss me. Who cares?
No.
Who cares what I like?
We all care what you like. Well, most of us. So this is the time for eggnog. And as you call it, the merriest seasons of the year and all that sort of stuff. So it has a history that goes all the way back to medieval Britain, although it's been associated with Christmas since about the 1700s.
Wow.
No one is exactly sure where it came from, but people seem to think it descended from a drink called, and I'm not sure this is pronounced properly, but posset, maybe posset, maybe possum. I don't think possum, but...
Posset? My dear Cosette?
If it's French, sure, posset. So let's just call it, either posset or posset. Let's just say posset. Anyways, it's spelled Posset. So descended from a drink, and that drink consisted of hot curdled milk, ale or wine, and spices. More expensive ingredients like eggs, sherry, and figs were added to the recipe later on as the drink became popular among monks and the wealthy.
Isn't it interesting that the religion goes with the wealthy?
Yeah, geez, I never thought of that in the Vatican. So the first drink, actually in America, people started noticing it in colonial America in the 18th century, where both eggs and rum were plentiful. Eggnog was particularly popular around Christmas time because of its warm temperature and the addition of flavors like cinnamon.
I'm going to put every week there's going to be the word cinnamon in the script. Every week.
What I should really have every week since 'tis the season is that little concoction of eggnog and whiskey. Oh, I should have that now. Oh, well.
Just run to your little corner store.
No, it's okay. I'll just dream of a yellow
White Christmas?
eggnog, of a yellow eggnog. Where were they? Oh yeah. So anyways, so it first appeared in colonial America, and so where eggs and rum were mixed in. Eggnog's popular around Christmas time, like I said, because it was warm temperature, and people would add different flavors to it. Cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla bean. Everything that people would associate with Christmas time. And well, pretty much since then, eggnog has been synonymous with holiday festivities.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, Dwight Eisenhower, Supreme Commander in the Second World War.
Speaking of eggnog, how did you get there?
I spend so much time on these smooth transitions. So this is just an example of another smooth transition.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, exactly. So before he commanded the liberation of Europe, General Eisenhower, and led the nation through the height of the Cold War, again, General Eisenhower, by that time, President Eisenhower, Dwight D. Eisenhower grew up with traditional Midwestern tastes. In England, commanding forces that would successfully invade 2 continents, he turned down fancy meals his assigned cook offered in favor of fried steak, corn pudding, chicken soup, and other dishes reflecting his Kansas boyhood. Ike took pride in his down-home familiarity with the kitchen, and as president, he collected some of his favorite recipes in a White House file. Here we are with files in the White House. No, but there were scissors and fireplaces.
Mm.
Now, one of these recipes found in the Dwight D. Eisenhower Presidential Library was Ike's special favorite around holiday time. Archived in the presidential papers under beverages, President Eisenhower kept a declassified recipe for bourbon eggnog. Yeah, I like this guy more and more.
Mm-hmm.
As a boy, Ike worked on an Abilene creamery. And like Eisenhower, the president, Ike's recipe takes the middle way, combining the enjoyable sweet wholesomeness of post-war America with bourbon-backed strength Ike believed in.
So what goes in this sucker?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to define wholesome America in the 1950s. So
no, I'm looking right at him, Charlie.
Yeah,
you're a wholesome American boy from the Midwest state of Detroit.
Yeah. So, listen, if you enjoy a glass of nog as part of your Yuletide festivities, this recipe is as good as anything you'll find in stores. It's been my thing that usually things you make at home are a little bit better than what you find in stores, but that's me.
So you know what's in this, Charlie? It's a dozen egg yolks, a pound of sugar, a quart each of bourbon, coffee cream, and whipping cream.
Well, that's enough for me. What are you going to have?
Is that ridiculous?
It is what it is. But if you enjoy a glass of nog as part of your Yuletide festivities, this recipe does sound pretty good as, anything you'll find in stores. It doesn't take long to make, and you can substitute your favorite rum or brandy in place of the General's preferred bourbon. Now, you might also notice from the ingredient that this is not a low-calorie treat.
Holidays. Close.
The holidays are hard. Don't get me started. But a glass or two of this holiday drink might be helpful, or the whole quart.
Or it might just kill you. Clog up all those arteries, and that'll be the end. Or if you're lactose intolerant, do not drink this. No amount of lactate is going to counteract this.
Always good to swap recipes with you. So
yeah. So in our I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say if folks want this recipe without all the chatter. Please go to everyonedies.org. That's dies.org. And send us your own recipes to share with others. Also, we appreciate your questions and anything else you want to tell us. You can mail us at mail@everyonedies.org, dies.org. Please join our Facebook group, Everyone Dies. Everyone is spelled out. Everyone Dies. And please remember to rate and review this podcast. Molly, our holiday Ruchi Mama Hochara Twitter correspondent, is hoping you will follow us on Twitter and repost her tweets so that we stop making up names for her. Marianne, what's up next?
Hey, what's next? Well, you know what? Our second half is going to focus on celebrating the holidays without a loved one or dying throughout the holidays, both of which are not easy. especially for those who are grieving that first holiday season after the death. Even during the best of times, Charlie, the holidays can be exhausting and stressful. And it's hard to watch other people enjoying time with their families when you're not with yours. It's important, though, to prepare yourself for the holidays, especially if the upcoming holidays were a special time for you and that person. Expect it to be hard. If you make a plan, though, for how you're going to get through that day, you'll find it to be a lot easier to manage. Don't be surprised if your grief is more acute during the holiday, no matter what the holiday. And even if holidays really weren't a big deal for you and your loved one, it might still be very difficult. Witnessing everyone else getting together for the holidays can trigger feelings of loss that you may have done a good job of ignoring throughout the rest of the year. Don't look at all of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, all at once. Don't think of, oh my God, there's 5 holidays coming up and I have to deal with these. Nope, just take them one at a time. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by all the traditions of all of these different holidays. So if it's the first holiday, birthday, anniversary, since your loved one has died, it's important to acknowledge and reflect upon the death. And on each of the holidays that have come after their death, they're that first of each of those holidays after the death. Those are very difficult. To pretend as though it's just another day is a mistake. How you deal with it in the first year can set you up and set up the tone for future milestone days in the years to come. Decide upon a fitting tradition. Maybe look through photos, light a candle, listen to music that the person loved, write a letter to them about how much you miss them. Acknowledge your grief and allow yourself to feel sad. The death of a loved one is a big deal. You don't have to be strong all the time, especially on a holiday following the death. Now, there's no perfect coping mechanism. There's no method that I can give you that'll say, this will get you through. The first year following a death is a particularly raw time, and there's no clear-cut plan to follow. Listen to your feelings. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. And if you find your grief overwhelming, seek help from a mental health professional. It's not unheard of for people to visit therapists during special holidays or anniversaries. Talking it out can help you to cope. But I do have some kind of concrete ideas for you. First, avoid commercials and Christmas music stations, and possibly country music stations also.
Why country music? Why not country music?
Well, after my sister died, my niece used to say that she never knew that country music was so sad because whenever it would come on the radio, she would cry. And if you really listen to some of those songs, they are really sad. And so they can make you cry. So that's my own addition. But since it's around the holidays and we're doing Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all of that, the Christmas songs, or you can remember, like I can remember my mom had the white Bing Crosby album with the Santa hat. And we would decorate the Christmas tree, and she would put that album on. Well, I hear the music from that album, which, trust me, is well memorized because we didn't have many albums, so I heard it a lot.
So
that music comes on. That music comes on, and it can, set off these feelings, of being a little kid sitting on the couch looking at the tree after it was all set up. So there's specific events that kind of go with Christmas music. Did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm not familiar with Bing Crosby's White Album. Is it similar to the Beatles' White Album?
Exactly. Where have you been? If you're watching a TV show and Christmas songs come on, feel free to fast forward through those commercials. You don't have to look at it. You can not watch TV at all. You can read a book, do crafts. It's a perfect time and perfectly fine to avoid the things that make you sadder than you already are. It's not a contest. You don't have to make yourself sadder, if it's possible even to be sadder than you are. The second thing is to just say no. If you emotionally don't feel up to having or going to dinner for the holiday, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have children, mix it up and make some of your own pizzas or grilled cheese sandwiches as a new definition of Christmas dinner. We one year, don't even ask me why, we made a Stouffer's lasagna for our Christmas dinner. And every year afterwards, that's what the girls wanted, was a frozen Stouffer's lasagna.
Perfect. Good. Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter what it is. Just make it special for them in terms of you're feeding them and you're loving them. Be honest and realistic. Don't pretend that you're doing better than you are, and don't pretend to others, and don't pretend to yourself. You could get a holiday misery buddy to have regular checkups with so that you have support. When in Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a sponsor. Well, you could, we should start that, Charlie. We should start grief sponsors. Somebody you can call whenever you're feeling really, really sad, who gets it. You don't have to explain it all to them. And they let you to be sad. Mm-hmm. They let you be sad and give you kind of the strength to take that next step. Don't beat yourself up about how you feel. You feel how you feel. And that's the right answer, whatever it is.
Exactly, yeah.
Another option is to kind of get out. If we could travel, you could go maybe someplace that you'd never been with the person, your loved one. That's kind of not a good idea this year, but, keep that in your book maybe for next year. Another idea is to give back, and people always tell you this. Go volunteer at the soup kitchen or a nonprofit or find some new meaning in the holiday. My girls and I probably about 4 years ago went through real traumatic loss, and we had always had certain things that we did on Christmas Eve. There were certain things that we did on Christmas Day that we weren't able to do anymore. And so I thought to myself, well, what's something we've never done? And, so there's this thing in Oklahoma City. It's huge volunteer things for, giving hundreds of thousands. Well, I don't know, maybe that's an exaggeration, but they give a lot of presents to kids, and they have this big breakfast thing, and they have a Coke giveaway. And we had never volunteered for it, but that year we did, because it's a lot easier to kind of feel better or take your mind off of you doing something that you've done for the first time, as opposed to going and doing something, the same thing that you used to do with that person. I hope that made good sense. Volunteering is good for the whole family and helps you kind of forget about your heartache, at least for a while. When you give back, you feel good. And when you feel good, the hurt will lessen. Honoring your loved ones. The thought is that the person who's died can kind of stay alive in our memories. You don't have to pretend that they never existed because you think it'll be less painful for those around you. Forget those around you. You take care of you. And if you don't want to talk about them, then you don't have to. But talking about them or saying, let's have this special corner that's, just for Jim Boy, then that's what you do. It'll feel better ultimately to talk about that person. Light a candle, read a poem, put a special ornament on the Christmas tree, and we'll talk about some of that in our arts and crafts section. Know it's okay to change your rituals. Do what's best for you during this time of healing. It's okay to say no to cooking or visiting other houses. You need to decide for yourself if you're going to be more comforted around people or taking some time for yourself. Now, the other thing to know, the next thought, is that just about everyone hates some part of the holiday. I don't know, I guess there are some people out there who every single aspect of the holiday thrills them to death. Personally, that ain't me, and I know it's not Charlie.
Humbug, I say.
So everyone expects kids
to ask for presents. What's that about?
because most kids don't have to have actual stuff to do that. Everyone's worried about how nice their house looks, or family politics, or scheduling, or spending too much money, or going to a bunch of dumb parties, or not being invited to a bunch of dumb parties, being constantly surrounded by unhealthy foods. Kids don't care about any of that crap, but we do.
Yes.
Sometimes reminding yourself that everyone else is also somewhat miserable can really help you take the load off. It's a myth. Everyone's happy. You can tune out and you can tune in. You need silence for a few minutes every day. Scan your body. Wherever you feel tight, stressed, tired, look at your emotions. If you felt anger, sadness, or isolated, do an inventory of what's hard for you right now and how it's coming out in your body. Then, if it's possible, identify and avoid the things that bring out those responses. This is not a, Ironman course. You're not going to do things that are difficult for yourself. Nope. You're going to make things easy for yourself this holiday. Charlie, you're not going to like this next one.
Oh.
But
yeah.
Stop drinking.
Stop drinking
On
what?
top, alcohol. So that's the next tip. Or limit to 1 to 2 drinks per social outing. Now, I'm not making a judgment here, but alcohol is a depressant.
Right.
And one way to prevent the natural ebbs and flows of grief and depression from becoming an all-out plunge into the psychic abyss is to limit the external factors that can contribute to it. Okay? Yes. And one of those factors is alcohol. So...
Well, I think if people use that as a crutch or, to avoid...
And people do during their grief. It's a perfectly natural...
or to numb what they're feeling.
Generally, what I hear people say is it's to numb.
Yeah, I mean...
It's to numb it.
It doesn't... Yeah, in the end, you will be unnumbed and you'll still have to deal with whatever it is that you were numbing yourself from. So, yeah.
Aren't we just the most articulate hosts today?
I blame the eggnog.
Really, we never should have started with the eggnog.
Or maybe a lack of eggnog. I remember eggnog next time.
Oh, my God. Okay, another idea. Hang out with nature, especially animals. You go for a walk, hug an animal, ask the owner before you hug it in case it's not a dog.
Can't you just watch old
else.
Episodes of Rocky and Bullwinkle and there you are, the animal connection?
Yeah, sure. If that, whatever floats your boat. Right. Animals have no idea how terrible things are. So they're really great to talk to. They're always happy and they'll lick your face. Break expectations. Instead of running yourself ragged and spending money on gifts that people don't need, pick a charity. Pick a charity that's important to you and donate it. So, whoa, I just dropped my thing. My pop socket popped.
Your what?
So I popped this thing, the pop socket. So I got in the mail as I was writing this, and I thought, this is perfect. This is from the Heifer International. Yeah, exactly. So this is Heifer International, and they, oh my gosh, we had the longest, most delightful discussion about this. They have cows. They have cows. They have seeds.
Yeah. Do they have hamburgers?
Charlie, stop it. They have water buffalo. They have pigs. You can get a pig and give a pig for $120.
I'm dreaming of
now, one that I was really interested in was the gift of clean water. That's $300 to give clean water. And there's
$750
Water for Life. Stoves in a village, they're $1,000.
So when you say, money for water, how does that help, and who does that help?
So this can go to, you can kind of designate, let me open to a page. Okay, so you can give a heifer to Zambia. So that's where I guess the heifer's going this year. You can give a goat. You can give a goat to Kedama Maui. So that's where I guess the goats are going. Sheep are going to Senegal. Poultry is going, I don't know, I think they send the poultry anywhere.
Or Popeyes.
They say chicken eggs contain chlorine, which helps with brain development. Buy local and make eggs part of your breakfast. So we were thinking about giving like a flock of chicks. So a flock of chicks is $20 because I'm thinking, they're going to lay eggs for a while. And then when they stop doing that, they become food. But, I mean, that's not bad. $20 for a flock of chicks, donate in the name of someone you love.
Yeah.
They have alpacas for $300. They have a mating pair of cattle for $1,000, but this is a pair. Seeds, you could feed a whole village for $10,000. So you can go through, honeybees for $30, ducks for $20. So, think about something else. Really, all the stuff that we buy and wrap, honestly, is that really kind of helping a whole lot in the long run? But you can make a donation, buy a cow as a memorial donation for the person who's died. Let me see. So, I had a patient once, Charlie, who was like just really at the end of her life and hadn't really come to terms with it, had really young kids. And she said, and she was just very, very sick. And she wanted to make Christmas cookies for her third graders class. And we had to have a kind of long talk about, the meaning of the cookies to her, the meaning of the cookies to the child, the class, and what that was going to do in terms of her health and her energy. She was really not feeling well enough to stand up, sit down, or do anything in the kitchen and make these cookies. So we just had a chat about that and put into perspective, looked at it from a lot of different angles, and she just said, I can buy some cookies. I said, sure you can. So look at your expectations and really ask yourself, do you have to do that this year? Break your expectations. Instead of, I already said that, didn't I? Okay, I did say that. So that's worth repeating. I cracked myself up. So plan who you're going to call. Who you're going to, if you're having a hard time.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, or your sponsor that you've, like I said, plan ahead. Get yourself a sponsor, someone who says, you call me, we'll talk. You want to pick someone who isn't going to say something dumb like get over it or anything else that's going to make you angry or hurt your feelings. Those aren't the people you want to call. So if someone has died, those are things that can help you. The other thing that happens, though, Charlie, is that some people are dying through the holidays. In my years of working in hospice, it really became interesting to us that between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day, our numbers of death really slowed down. I mean, I'm not talking about, accidents or things like that. I'm talking about, hospice deaths. We never really understood how that happened, how they did it. But man, come January 1st, those people would die. And we kind of thought, well, it must be that nobody wants to die, between Thanksgiving and Christmas and quote unquote ruin the holiday forever. Right. And it's very interesting, when you work in this field that you actually see things like that. So if you are the person who's dying, you might want to be involved, but you might not really have a whole lot of energy to be involved. You might say, I just want to watch. I don't want to be in the thick of things. I enjoy myself just watching. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't say to yourself, oh my God, this is my last Christmas and I must do this, and this because I enjoyed all those things the first time I did them. You did them the first time. Those memories will always be in your brain and in those who you shared them with. So don't put pressure on yourself to do stuff. You get to decide who you want to spend Christmas Day with. You get to decide what's the best time of day to do different activities if you get really fatigued. But let people know your thoughts. You might be somebody who's gone through your whole life just, oh, whatever you want, dear, whatever you want, dear. Well, this is your chance to say, this is what I want. People can, and we'll talk more about this, in another different podcast. But for the point of our purposes today is that families and people have an ideal perception about death. They think, everybody just wants to be with that person when that person takes their last breath. But the reality is that people sometimes just really want to die alone. And so if that's something that you want, if you're able to communicate it. Don't be surprised if your family, thinks that's not a really good idea.
Right. Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many times I've seen, that daughter who's been doing a vigil for the last 48 hours say, I'm just going to go get a cup of coffee. And that's when mom dies.
And in those 10 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So know your limitations. Don't push beyond what those limitations are just because you want to make somebody happy. And, remember the 5 things that I always talk about. You want to say goodbye. You want to say I love you. You want to say please forgive me. You want to say I forgive you. And you want to say goodbye. And so if people are coming over to visit during the holiday, take your opportunity to say that. They might not feel comfortable with it, but this might, if you're dying, this is the actual last chance that you have to say it. And that's very hard and very exhausting on you.
Yeah.
Saying goodbye is hard.
Yeah. And as we've said many times, in several other podcasts, think in advance, what, like Marianne said, what are your limits? What do you want? Take time to think about it and let people know. The family, friends, whoever is around you. And yes, you might get pushback. Oh no, you can't do that. You got to remember that. Remember we used to do that. Well, maybe that's just not really important to you. It's never been important to you. But nobody knows that. It's difficult to let people know your wishes and your needs. But remember, they're your wishes and they're your needs. It's what you need. It's not about making other people happy.
So we have a lot of resources for you on our webpage. And you know what, Charlie? Do you want to pretend to be Martha Stewart with me for a while?
Oh, hell yes. Martha, that's my girl. I mean, you ever see her and Snoop on the show?
No.
Snoop. Do you know that her and Snoop Dogg have a show, a cooking show? I'm not making this up.
And you watch this?
On occasion, I flip channels and suddenly there's Snoop or there's Martha, and there's times Martha's just going to town with some of her recipes, and maybe she knows this stuff obviously frontwards and backwards, so she might pour herself a little cocktail. She's trying to explain the recipes and everything. Really, just very enjoyable, and the two of them just really hit off each other very nicely.
Sort of like you and me.
Yes, but with alcohol. So.
I thought you said she had alcohol.
No, but you said like you and me, but we're not sitting back, every episode knocking back martinis.
Wait, we're not? You didn't tell me that.
Didn't you get the message I sent that we should try to pretend that we're not? Oh, shoot.
Don't you notice that I fall apart by the end of the show because I've been drinking so much?
Oh, so that really isn't a can of just soda.
How long have you known me? You silly boy.
You silly boy.
So you can memorialize people who have died during the holidays.
By watching Martha Stewart.
Through keeping old traditions and by creating new ones.
Yes.
Little things like memories and traditions can help us honor and remember those who've loved. And honestly, don't listen to Charlie. You don't have to be Martha Stewart to do these projects. So
Oh, I'm sorry to
What?
interrupt, but I mean, the other thing too. Yes, the very nice memories you have of Christmas, maybe when you were a child, or the first time, with your own child. But it's also been in my experience that there are a lot of people who just do not have nice memories of Christmas. It was always tension at home, etc. And you know what? You are never too old to create a Christmas for yourself.
That's
And
true.
you had mentioned before with I think you said it with the girls. Oh yeah, when um, I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was. Was it a food place or on Christmas when
Oh,
you
the
went to?
Stouffer's lasagna
That's right. This,
or the
yeah, I mean, create something for it's never too late. The first time I really just completely moved out on my own, there was a big snowstorm, and I just could not get back to Michigan, and I still remember this. I ordered a pineapple and cheese pizza and just sat in front of the TV and just watched movies. It was an
sounds like
absolutely wonderful
sounds like
Christmas.
every Friday night for you.
Well, nowadays, yeah, but I was young at that time, so
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, it was great, and that's yeah. So create something for yourself. It's never too late.
Never too late.
So moving on to Martha Stewart.
So I put links, with this podcast so that you can do all of these things and get the directions.
Hmm.
You could do a dried flower ornament. You could take, if you've kept any of the flowers from the funeral, you can keep those, and you can do dried flower arrangements, or you can press flowers between a book and wax paper to kind of dry them out. You can hang them upside down, air dry them. Put them in a vase with just a few inches of water. But the idea is that you're using those dried flowers, and perhaps some from the funeral if you kept any. The other thing that you can do with the dried flowers is you can make an ornament. So if you ever seen those clear glass ornaments, like in Michael's or someplace like that. So you just need one of those with a removable top. You take off that top and you put those flower petals and any other decorations you want into that ornament. And put the top back on. You can put a ribbon around it to fancy itself up a little bit, and you can have that special ornament. You can write the year on the bottom, and make one every year, so that maybe the next year you kind of felt a little bit better and you went somewhere with sand, so you could put some of that sand and seashells and stuff in it and kind of see that progression of your life, or as a memorial to your loved one's life. You can do a scrapbook or photo albums. You can take holiday memories that you've had, and I'll tell you, looking through those picture books or wherever it is you have them is going to be hard, because you remember all, whatever the feeling was that was associated with that picture. You and your family can do this together and kind of share and reminisce about your holiday memories. Or you can create a photo album. You could scrapbook like they do,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
you could just kind of glue them into a book and as ways that you help to remember them. Or you can take those pictures and you can make a photo wreath. And there's the instructions for how to do that. But you can use an embroidery hoop, the thing like you would do embroidery on,
Hmm.
and those pictures and little clothespins to put them on, but the instructions are there. Charlie, you're goofing it up.
The other thing you can also do is Chinese food. A lot of Chinese restaurants are open, and I just remember one. Actually, it was a very very nice Christmas. Something happened to the bird. I don't remember what, and my mother was devastated. And then she got angry. And I don't remember if it was myself or my youngest brother said, "Well, why don't we eat Chinese food?"
Because it's
Um,
made out of birds?
sure. If you have, for example, chicken fried rice, there you are, poultry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, General Tso chicken, again, poultry. Peking duck, poultry. So you get my
So
drift.
your
If you need
your
to keep
mother let you
safe.
order Chinese food when you were a kid?
No, we had to be. I'm pretty sure I was in college. So, yeah, so it's possible I was still a teen, but like, 18, 19 years old. Um, no, she just got so upset and angry. She just wanted nothing to do with it. And I think it was my youngest brother who said, well, why don't we order Chinese food? We had such a good time. So of course, we ordered, the stuff that she liked too. And she she didn't want to join in the reindeer games. We all had a good time, but of course, we left the she liked coconut shrimp, so we left the coconut shrimp out. And finally, by the end, she came out, I don't know, under the guise of to make sure we weren't making a mess, or she wanted a glass of water or something. And somebody pointed out the shrimp, and so she joined in at the very end. But it was nice.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So other things you can do, you can leave a chair for them at the holiday dinner table, so that, their honorary chair. You could serve their signature dish at your holiday dinner. So, get a bag of
Doritos, a little melted cheddar cheese on it, sharp cheddar cheese, and I'm there. And if you happen to have an avocado, you can make it into guacamole. It's a meal.
Well, so whatever it was that they really liked, White Castles, get a bag of White Castles, put them out on the table. Man, we're going to eat these and feel nauseous because Charlie loved them.
Yes.
You can light a remembrance candle, set out a picture frame of them or a photo memento that you create. You can visit the gravesite or ash scattering location. You can have a releasing ceremony with biodegradable lanterns. We got married last year. We did this off a bridge with these biodegradable lanterns.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it hadn't rained in a while, and it kind of picked up and went into a tree, and then the tree caught on fire.
Oh, no.
We're all standing there saying, please, God, put out that fire.
Yeah. Don't let me get arrested on my wedding day.
Oh my God. So, but we found them on Amazon, and they really totally disintegrate. They're not bad for the environment. And now we do one every New Year's Eve rather. We release one. You can read aloud a memorial poem or prayer before dinner. If they have a favorite song, you could play that song for them. Now, the point of this last chat was that we know that the holiday season is going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
This one especially.
So, so plan for it. Healing is going to take time. Maybe it's easier if you go into it saying, this is going to suck. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Charles.
Very good. So, Martha Stewart is dropping by, or what?
No. You were just going to tell people that we're all done.
With Martha Stewart?
Yeah. And the podcast.
Oh.
The party's over.
Well, only this episode, of course.
It's time
for everyone,
call it a
including
day.
Miss Stewart, thank you for listening. And I really like the way you pour those martinis, in case she's listening. So please stay tuned for future episodes of Everyone Dies. Our thanks to our executive producer, Major General Retired David Gillette. Our producer, Sandy. John, our technical advisor. Molly, our Twitter correspondent. And our friends, family, and our loyal listeners who are supporting our work at Everyone Dies. This is Charlie Navarrete.
And I'm Marianne Matzo. And we look forward to talking with you soon. Remember, every day is a gift.
This podcast does not provide medical advice. All discussion on this podcast, such as treatments, dosages, outcomes, charts, patient profiles, advice, messages, and any other discussion are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your primary care practitioner or other qualified health providers with any questions that you may have regarding your health. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard from this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Everyone Dies does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, practitioners, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned in this podcast. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast by persons appearing on this podcast at the invitation of Everyone Dies or by other members is solely at your own risk.